Hey, you guys, welcome back to American Perspective with Patriot Mom 007. It is Friday, April 18th. It's going to be a real day. It's been 90, then 70, then 90, then 50. It's crazy here, but it's beautiful still, and it's starting to get nice, and we will hopefully enjoy some cool weather for a little bit longer, maybe another week or two. We're very lucky right now. And so we've got a huge lineup today. We've got two shows. The first one, I've got a good friend of mine. We do a lot of work together here in Arizona. She's a huge advocate and proponent in Arizona for all different types of issues surrounding women, girls, sports, safe spaces, and a lot of things happening in our legislature. So we wanted to talk with her today because that is, of course, still top of mind for so many people, considering our country has not moved in a correct direction yet when it comes to protecting women and their spaces, to make them safe. So we're going to be bringing her on in a little bit. We always have some news at the top, so to share with you. There's too much to even go over, so I always pick a couple stories maybe that you haven't heard about. The ones I'm going to bring on today actually are going to be in relation to what we're going to be talking about with our guests. So, Robert, let's just bring up number one and get going on the show.
A biological male is making tens of thousands of dollars being the face of womanhood for Nike, for Tampax, for Bud Light, for Kate Spade, and countless other companies. A biological male took home the award for Best Actress at the Golden Globes. Are we really still trying to make the case that feminism supports women when the feminists are completely silent and or cheering on biological men taking over the space of women? Somebody spell this out for me. So, just get this straight. In the last few
All right.
years,
So that was Isabel Brown. She's with Turning Point USA. I have actually interviewed her here in Arizona at one of our America Fest. She's a great girl. She a late woman. She's an adult now, young adult. She is very active. That was obviously, Dylan Mulvaney was in that shot, and Leah Thomas. Christy will correct me on that. And so that was when this all started, right? Unfortunately, some of that is still happening today, and that is some of what we're going to be talking about. It's hard to believe a few years later that we're still deciding what women are, but unfortunately, in the state of Arizona, among others, including Maine, as in the news lately, they don't really come after Katie Hobbs here as our governor not supporting women, but that's kind of what we're going to be doing, I think, in our state. Christy Narsi, our guest, certainly has been doing that so far for us on behalf of all of us. And then we've got this. So this next clip is current. So that's where we were, right, in America. Now we're going to move to the UK, and we're going to see what they did this week, just a couple days ago. Go ahead with number two, Robert. We've got that one coming up. So this one's going to be the UK Parliament. They just came out, I think it was on Wednesday. Are we rolling on? Do we have that coming up, Robert?
And
Number
I'm here
two?
today
Yep.
once again to testify
Nope,
in favor of
that's
Arizona
not
House
the
Bill
one,
2062,
but
the
we can listen to
Arizona
it.
Sex-Based Terms Act. The Arizona legislature already passed this legislation.
Oh, all right. So we're going to cut from that. But I think Robert's trying to pull me up my UK reel that happened a couple days ago. So what they basically did in the United Kingdom is what we're trying to do here actually in Arizona with what we're going to be talking about today in the bill that was passed last year and then again this year. We're waiting for Hobbs to get on board with helping out women because, she is a woman. So you think that would be a natural progression for her. But for some reason, I don't know, she's got bad advice from somebody, or I just don't get it. Because if you're a woman, I don't see how you do not protect and want to be a proponent for your fellow woman and the young girls here today. Do we have that one yet, Robert, on number two? I'm going to see if he can grab that. Let's see, because perfect. So the UK is ahead of us. I don't know how that's happening. We're supposed to be the most progressive, country, or one of them anyway.
And I'm here
And
today once again to
here we go.
testify in favor of Arizona House Bill
Oh,
2062.
nope, still not
The
there.
Arizona-
But there we go. We have the graphic. It's okay. So here we go. Those technical bugs that we have here. So I've got Robert in the back at Chula Vista Live Data. You can find him at JData17. He has Chula Vista Live Data, San Diego Live Data, and Arizona Live Data. And I do thank him, because if it were me doing this, it would be, we always have a few glitches, but it would be a little bit worse if I were doing it for sure. Without him, none of this would happen. So trans women are not legally women, the Supreme Court rules. This is the UK news from Wednesday that came out. This is the Telegraph article. And so they are ahead of us. They have declared this as a country, right? And we're doing this state by state, which seems a little regressive and a little behind where we should be on the curve, considering we are supposed to be an advanced country and we are supposed to be protective of, women in general. And we're not doing that at all. So yay for the UK. Good job, you guys. Sad to see that you're ahead of us on this, but we definitely have some catching up to do. And that's really all I have to say about that, because we're going to get into it with Christy, and she's going to give us details on what's been happening in our state in relation to these issues surrounding women's safe spaces, women in sports, and the trans men being allowed to really overtake some of these sports and these athletes, the awards, the scholarships that they're giving away and not giving back yet. We definitely need to work on getting them back to who they belong to, And so I do want to bring up, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, my chronic silver. I've been using these products actually since December, and I have a few here. So this one, am I not going to get a good shot? So this one's a nasal spray. I just want to say I used it when I was sick a couple of months ago. I don't use nasal sprays really ever, but I did want to try it. And I have to say, I do believe it really knocked it out like in 3 days. So everything cleared up really fast. We're going to talk about it a little bit today. And then next week, I've got Jeff Adams, the founder of this company, on as a guest. So he's going to really do a deep dive for us. But there's a topical healing I brought in. It's just a spray. And then there's also a dietary supplement I happen to bring in today. You just drink it. They're pretty tasteless, odorless. But the silver as the best, it has been the best all-natural alternative against modern-day superbugs, if you didn't know that. And before 1923, silver was the most prescribed antibiotic in the world. And before 1965, there were almost 5,000 references to silver in the journals of medicine. Silver is just as effective against bacteria, fungus, and viruses as it has been throughout history. That's why scientists are looking to silver as the preferred alternative against new superbugs. My chronic silver is positioned to be the recommended product to fight this battle. Being the only organically stabilized silver product on the planet means that it far surpasses the lesser types of colloidal, ionic, and nanosilvers. The key to natural health is my chronic silver's ability to work with your immune system without harming the good bacteria in your body. My chronic silver does this by staying active in your body for up to 10 hours, unlike other silvers. Visit mychronicsilver.net to read what their customers have to say about their amazing experiences with my chronic silver's incredible products and healing properties. I have read all of them, and it is amazing. So we're going to get right back into it with our next B block. And we're going to now, let's bring up Christy's testimony we had up a little bit earlier, Robert, number 4, and let's hear what she is doing. This is from March this year in our legislature. So let's bring that one up again and hear from her. You got that? Oh, poor Robert.
I'm here today once again to testify in favor of Arizona House Bill 2062, the Arizona Sex-Based Terms Act. The Arizona legislature already passed this legislation, but Governor Hobbs vetoed it. This is the year this legislation should become law. HB 2062 really is a simple housekeeping measure intended to ensure that laws passed by the legislature are applied as this body intended and not twisted by judges and bureaucrats. This bill does not prevent Arizona legislature from passing laws to protect certain groups in specific contexts, but it will prevent males who identify as women from claiming they have an automatic right to access women's spaces in all circumstances. This legislation will help stop legal challenges to single-sex spaces by those who believe government should never separate males and females in sports, in prisons, domestic violence shelters, etc. HB 2062 does three very important things. First, it defines certain words already used in state code, words such as man, woman, male, and female. Why? Because when these laws were passed, it was assumed that these words were tied to biology. Today, activists say that these words lack objective meaning. They say that they are defined by subjective feelings rather than objective reality. This bill simply clarifies the original public meaning of statutes that use sex-based words at the time they were passed. Second, this bill ensures the publicly collected data regarding males and females reflects biology. It's critically important that data used to promote public health, prevent crime, enforce civil rights laws, and ensure economic and social policy be objective and accurate. That said, it does not prevent entities that collect data about men and women from also collecting data about gender identity. Third, it clarifies the state's interest in protecting certain single-sex spaces, where doing so advances equal opportunity, privacy, safety, or fairness. HB 2062 is not a bathroom bill. It does not mandate that Arizona provide any particular type of bathroom or prevent accommodating people who need single-use private bathrooms. This bill helps protect spaces already designated as single-sex, such as prisons or athletic teams, such as prisons and athletic teams, from legal attack. HB 2062 is a tool for fighting judicial activism and returns power to you, the legislature, to decide how and in which context it is appropriate to separate citizens by sex. I ask you to please vote yes on HB 2062. And unfortunately, I'm not available to answer questions. My daughter, who is with me, has created an ova, and we are going to see my first grandbaby on an ultrasound right now.
Awesome.
Hi, independent women. I am...
So, and we want to congratulate her daughter because I do know her daughter. It's super exciting. She's having her first baby and her first grandbaby. So that was just in the clip. I guess I could have taken that out because it's personal, but it's an awesome thing. So why would we not share that? So you guys, Christy Narsi and I do some work together. Like I mentioned earlier, Christy is the national chapter director and a Phoenix chapter chair of the Independent Women's Network here in Phoenix. And Christy is a dynamic leader, speaker, and advocate with over 2 decades of theological study and leadership training through John C. Maxwell University. She passionately advances women's rights nationwide and serves as president of Freedom Academy, a K-8 non-woke charter school in North Phoenix, dedicated to character integrity and academic excellence. Christy's work bridges education, faith, and grassroots activism, making her a powerful voice for empowering women and protecting their opportunities. So with that introduction, I'd like to bring on my friend and colleague, I guess, because we don't get paid for what we do, but we're still colleagues. I guess that still counts. So are you colleagues if you don't get paid and you're volunteering? My volunteer partner in crime, Christy Narsi, thank you for being here on American Perspective today.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to do anything alongside you, my friend. So I'm excited.
Thanks. So Christy and I, we spent a little bit more than normal time together. We were together last night for 3.5-ish hours on a Zoom meeting call with one of our organizations that we work with. And here she is again today. So I don't know if she gets tired of me or not, but she showed up. So you know what? We are grateful when they show up for sure. And you do so much here working with Independent Women's Network. Tell us, let's just start, with that, how you got involved with them. It's been a few years now, I think around 3-ish, when you brought me in maybe 2 years ago as your co-chair for the Phoenix chapter. But how did you get started with them? And then let's talk about the national overview of that organization. Robert, when she's on there, maybe we could bring up iwnetwork.com website, which we do have at the bottom of the screen with all of Christy's links as well. So you want to connect with her there. But go ahead and tell us about how you got involved with them.
Yeah, it was one of those text messages that you get on your phone that you normally don't pay attention to. It's like, who's texting me? Who's sending me marketing junk? And for some reason, I clicked on it. It was probably divine. I don't know, but I clicked on it and I went to their website and I really loved what I saw. I saw really smart messaging. I saw women that were really brilliant at policy, at media, all these different things. And I just was like, who is this? What is this organization? And so they were starting chapters. And so, of course, I said, hey, can I join a chapter? They didn't have one in Phoenix. So then you know what came next. Oh, do you want to start it? Absolutely. I was all in. And so that's how I learned about Independent Women's Network.
And so to get involved, I mean, you heard about them and then, I mean, obviously you got involved and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm working with them one day. And that took off. And you were just opening a chapter here in Arizona, right? Not just opening a chapter. That's a big take. That's a big lift, to open a chapter, but that's where you started. So tell us about, getting started with them in that respect for the chapter.
It's kind of a funny story that I don't know if I've told a ton of people. When we first start, I don't even know if you and I have reflected on how this went down, but it was
I don't think
quite
so.
Interesting because it was a midterm, right? So we were coming into the midterm. And so there were a lot of people coming through Arizona. People had their eyes on Arizona for a lot of reasons. And the president of our organization actually had reached out to me saying,
I'm here
hey,
today once again to testify in favor of Arizona House Bill 2062.
Take that one down. Sorry, poor Rob. I threw Robert 1,000 graphics last night about 2 a.m. So
I get it.
In his defense, I was like, here's all the information the night before. But I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Do not be sorry. Oh my goodness. Our schedules have been literally around the clock lately.
Crazy.
It is insane. So it's amazing that we function at all. So yeah. So anyway, the president of the organization reached out. She said, hey, I'm going to be coming through Arizona. I'd love to take you to breakfast. I said, great, let's do it. And we sat down at breakfast and she got a text message from Senator Marsha Blackburn's team. And Great. She said, hey, Senator Blackburn's coming through. She's going to be speaking and opening for Kari Lake. Do you have anything to keep her busy? What can you do? Can you take her to some events? And it was the next day that she was going to be there. This was Friday. She was coming Saturday. And I had no idea the breadth and depth of this organization at the time. So I'm sitting there completely stunned. This is the first time I've stepped into any sort of activism. I had been in, ministry for decades. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing planned. Although I had Noél's phone number. That's what I had. And
sure did.
I called her. I mean, I blew up your phone, Noél, and you were doing something so you couldn't answer, which is not normal. You're pretty quick. And so I'm panicked, right? And so she ends up getting a phone number from a homeowner who was having an event on her patio in a nice, beautiful gated community. She was going to have about 30 women there. And so I didn't know this homeowner. I'd never met her before. I took the phone number, called her and said, hey, can I bring Marsha Blackburn to your house tomorrow?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And the whole time I'm thinking, this better work out. I hope this works out or I'm going to just look like an idiot, And so, yeah, we didn't tell the ladies, just in case, we were working on, Senator Blackburn had to land at the exact time. She had to get in that car, black SUV at the exact time. She had to, it was a schedule that was so tight. And so we just said, you know what, don't tell them just in case something goes wrong. But nothing went wrong. She rolled up in her black SUV with her team and we introduced her and she walked out onto that patio and the ladies were just jaw dropped. I mean, that is so right. Noél and I were just as stunned as they were.
Darn, I should have grabbed, shoot, I totally forgot about that. That's so funny. That was really the story. Wow. Really? That's so crazy. I feel like you and I were already in it when that happened. But yeah, I do remember that it was a quick text and you were like, oh my gosh, can you, blah, 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 help me out right now. And I was like, yeah, let me make a call. This girl's having a luncheon. And it was Marcy Cohen. She's an amazing lady. Her and her husband, Steve, opened their house up for their luncheon. I had never met Marcy before that day either. I was actually a guest, and I was actually a guest invited by another girlfriend. I think it was Linda. And so I was just going to her house. I did not know her. And I'm like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm a friend of Linda Brickman's. And everybody knows Linda. Linda does our legislative updates here in Arizona on a weekly basis and works with all our legislators. So she's a valuable resource. We'll have her on one day. And I'm like, so Marsha, did I tell her about Marsha Blackburn? I may have told Marcy just to get the foot in the door. Actually,
I'm
like,
sure you
I mean,
did.
how do you tell? Oh, look, I have these new little gadgets. Hold on. I'm trying to adapt to our 2025 technological advancements here in America. That includes earbuds, apparently. So work with me, people.
As soon as we
So
get used to it, it's going to change. So,
yeah, exactly. And so I know they're going to put it in our heads. That'll be easier for me. So she was like, of course, she's so gracious. She said, yeah, of course. She kept it quiet. There was like 30 women there, 34, maybe 40. And we snuck her in. Like Christy and I went in the front. That's right. What a great day that was. Beautiful afternoon. And we met Marsha, Senator Blackburn. Had never met her before, either of us. And she was so gracious with us. She was just obviously she does this for a living. She was so on point and so like boom, you set her down right in the middle of the group and she just went. It was an amazing. I wish I'd brought those that clip with me, darn it. But that was a great day. And then she, she did exit pretty quickly because she did have a hard schedule, but it was really generous of her. And we always want to shout out to all the, senators in state and at the federal levels who do work with us in whatever capacity they decide they have time for, because they are really busy. And so, we appreciate that. So Senator Blackburn, if you're hearing this, Independent Women's Network is still growing really strong. If you're ever in Arizona, Christy and I are still here. We would love to host you again. So putting that out there, and I will tag her on this for sure. And then you transitioned. So we started the chapter, you started the chapter, then you called me, if I recall. So weird. My timeline is not even accurate on any of these memories now that you mentioned that event. And then you're like, hey, would you be my co-chair? And we didn't really have a lot of direction.
That's not how it happened. You forgot. This is how you became co-chair is
I'm older than you.
Together an event, and actually we were hosting Riley Gaines. We were putting together a dinner.
Wait, was that the dinner?
Mm-hmm.
At Deb's house?
The way you found out that you were co-chair is I was drafting an email invite and I thought, I need to sign it from me and Noelle because she's helping me host it. She found the location. I mean, you were putting everything together. I was taking care of Riley, right?
Yes.
And I had to drive her up from Tucson. I had a whole thing. So it was like you were handling all that. And I just said it sounded weird to say Christy Noelle. Like the people on my list wouldn't know who's Noelle, So I thought, well, co-chair. You got an email and you texted me, I'm the co-chair. I was like, sure.
Yes, and that's right. And oh my gosh. See, it's what? It's how it is. It's like I always say, like, well, even when I met Christy years down the road, I was like, how did we meet? I do that with a lot of people. There's so many things that happen here in Arizona. We're so involved on so many levels. I mean, I am on multiple levels, different groups and organizations, and she is too. And so the time just speeds by so quickly. It is very hard to keep track. I mean, thank God I take 1,000 pictures of everything everywhere we go. I always tell my kids, they used to complain about me taking their pictures 24/7. I'm like, hey, you guys, when mom is older and her capacity is not there completely like it used to be, you're going to be thrilled that I have all these photographs that we can look back on, and it'll keep me happy and content. And you'll be able to review everything with me through my life, because I will not be remembered. I don't even remember it now. So there's that. And oh yeah, I do have that here. I wonder if that was just my interview. I pulled up my interview with Riley. I was hoping I had a few pics on that night. I do somewhere, darn it. I was really just focusing on your stuff today, not Riley for sure. Although Riley's still in the news, she's still fighting for women and girls and has had a challenging uphill battle with the Leah Thompson thing that came out. And that's how this all broke, right? And then Independent Women's Network, because we are an organization that champions women and girls, of course, got on board with what was happening with, the medals, the trophies, the scholarships being given to men frankly, and not women and girls in women and girls sports designated. And so tell us a little bit about independent women and, what they are doing. Let's bring up that website again. I know we had it up earlier. I want to go through a couple of the tabs because I do want to get into the chapter stuff too, because nationwide, we do have chapters all over the nation. We want to talk about that as well. So here's our website, and you're going to want to log in. It's iwnetwork.com. We also have Independent Women's Voices and Independent Women's Forum, all separate websites, but you're going to want to log in, create an account. Tell us about there is a small membership fee. It's a very small. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you can get a free profile or you can do the paid. And that, when we say paid, that's helping us keep the lights on and doing all the great work that we do. And it's $10 a month. It is not much at all. And we don't want it to be a huge barrier of entry, but we also want to make sure that you are getting content exclusive that you need and you're getting support that you need in your community. That's the entire point, really, of the network. Right. Independent Women's Forum, I call it the mothership, but it's our 501c3. Has been around, I think it's 35 years now, influencing policy on the Hill. And so it's and that's what I didn't know coming into the chapter. They're a very established organization, but the chapter started as a result, in a response actually to COVID. And that's where we went, okay, we've really got to help women feel sane, feel like they're not alone, they've got community. And so that's how the chapter's launched. And so when you go to the network, the idea is you can talk with your chapter, have conversations there, which Noél, you and I have got to start using that feature.
I know.
But it's a great feature. You can, the chapters can post their events. They can, hey, this is in the news. They can really just have those conversations that we need to have. And we want, the reason to bring these women together is to educate ourselves so that we feel empowered when we have to have tough conversations in the workplace. Tough conversations like Noél and I had for 6 hours last night. We won't go there.
Yeah.
You've got to be ready, and so this is just a day and age where you need that support. And so that's what you get when you go there.
That's right. And Robert, I did just throw our chapter you're in my Google chat over there. If you want to grab that link, I was going to have you pull up our chapter for Facebook. We actually, you know what? I was going to mention that to you, Christy, too. I think we need to do a little bit of housekeeping. We've got 2 chapters on Facebook, a couple different numbers on followers. One's like 46, one's 52-ish. So I want to see if we can combine those. I don't know, Facebook, if they allow that or not, or we just have to delete one, deactivate one, and just go with one. But I feel like we want to put that together.
If I remember correctly, and it's been a while, it's because we have a private one and we have a public one.
Oh, is that what we're doing? See,
as
co-chair, I should know that. See, I'm not even managing. I should be helping managing this, and I was going to.
Co-chair. Come on, co-chair.
I know. I've fallen down on that job. And but here's one of our chapter pages. So this is our private chapter group. Okay, so that's okay. Well, that makes sense. So that's our private one. And then the other one, I'm going to bring you, Robert. Let me see if I can pull it.
We haven't been keeping the pages up to date, so we need to.
I've done a few posts in there for some of us. So I do try to post a few things in there from time to time. You're doing so much. Actually, our private group is a little behind the times. It's our public group. I'm glad you mentioned that. You think if I'm working on technology, I'd know all these things, but there's really a lot to it. I don't make any bones about not knowing it all the time. And honestly, even earlier today, working with Robert, he's like, hey, can you do this on Zoom? And I'm like, how do we do that? We do this every week, but sometimes, these buttons, there's 1,000 of them. And I just always say my limitations, because I want people to realize that just because I'm doing this does not make me any more advanced technologically than anybody else. And you just have to work through things and make them work for yourself. And we all do it. And I've got people like Robert helping me. I always want to thank him because he really puts up with a lot. But so you want to get on Facebook, Independent Women's Network, Arizona chapter. You can find those links also. I'll put them in descriptions. I know our main description has all of our independent women, the .nets and the .orgs on there for the forum, the voices, and the network. But where do you think that we're going to be going now that we've got our, is it HB 20, I want to remember, 2062? Is that where we're at on this bill number? Yeah, 2062. What is it, 2035 last year? Is that what we did?
I don't remember.
I think it was 2035. I want to say 2035, but we had a bill last year here in Arizona. It was to preserve, not change, adjust, manipulate, or eradicate anything. It was to preserve women's spaces and the female word being used in our legislative bills and things that are happening in Arizona. So tell us about what we did. You and I worked on this last year, and then you've taken off this year with it. I need to get back involved. So let's talk about the bill.
Yeah, what started as, we called it the Women's Bill of Rights. It's legislation that is model legislation that our law center very carefully and meticulously put together. And we've since called it Stand with Women. So it's changed. So in Arizona, we had the Women's Bill of Rights. This year, same legislation, called it Stand with Women. We want it to be more clear that we're not taking rights away from anyone. We're not creating new rights. We're saying this is the definition of a female. And the goal in that is to preserve spaces that are already designated for females, like you said. So it does three very important things. It defines words already used in state code. So words like male, man, female, whatever, right? Male, female, man, woman. And as you heard in my testimony, publicly collected data. I mean, think vital statistics. Think cancer research. If it was not required to report that and collect that based on biology, I mean, what would even be the point? That would be the new misinformation campaign. You wouldn't have anything, nothing worthwhile, nothing helpful. So that was one of the really key things that we thought needed to be addressed in the bill. And it also clarifies the state's interest in protecting single-sex spaces. At the end of the day, equal opportunity for women means protected spaces, period.
That's right.
We can't have equal opportunities unless we can have our own thing. And so, so that's the goal. That's the aim. It passed the House and Senate last year, passed the House and Senate this year, and just last week, no, might have been 2 days ago. It's all gone by in such a blur. Governor Hobbs vetoed it again, and we knew she would. We're not naive, but I mean, we hoped that she wouldn't, but she did. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to live in a state where you've got a female governor who refuses to stand for women, who refuses to do the right thing, just won't. A female.
Exactly. And that's what boggles my mind is, that she is obviously a female and that she doesn't naturally, right, innately, inherently, as a woman, just have those feelings of protectiveness. Like, as you're a mom, right? You've got two girls, I've got two boys. They're both young, they're all young adults now. And I was talking about my boys, and sometimes people, I would say, I say make fun of, like we're in grade school, because that's kind of how it seems when I talk about my boys and how I, interact with them or mother them still. I've had people tell me, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like I'm in their house right now. They have a rental, they live together, they work together. Daniel, my youngest, just got a promotion. He's now not customer service at the company they work with. Now he's on Tommy's team. Now they're on the same sales team. They work for a gold and silver company. Like, that just happened April 1st. And so I raised them to be close. I know your goals are too with you. And Hallie, your daughter who's having the baby. I mean, I know you guys are together, you spend time together. And I don't understand Governor Hobbs. I don't know her child situation or family situation, but she must have a niece or somebody in her family that's a girl.
She has a sister, if I'm not mistaken. Is she? I want to say twin sister, but I could be crazy. We have to Google
really?
me, but she's got a sister.
Twin? Oh, okay, that's interesting. So I'm just saying, like just from a woman, just your biological makeup, like we are made to care and nurture for others. And it doesn't even stop for people like you and me who are involved with our kids. It doesn't stop when they're 18, as it does for some people. And so for her to completely bypass this bill twice now is kind of appalling, shocking still to me, and sad really that she, can't get behind you know, females of what she is, which she is one.
Yeah.
And I don't know how
It's
we,
abhorrent is what it is. I mean, it's
it is
abhorrent.
abhorrent. And I don't
It's
know
like,
how we how do we overcome this? Is this just voting her out in 26? Is that all we can do? Is she never going to come step behind women and stand up for us and support girls in sports and safe spaces, do you think?
yeah, I don't think that those that are pushing this agenda are going to change their mind. I think the election was pretty clear what America thinks, and they're doubling down. They're doubling down. And so I don't I don't know that it's going to go away. I really don't. And it's just shocking. It's still shocking. With to your point, it's like, where is Governor Hobbs' mama bear instinct? We all have it. We should have it. We have an instinct that says, take care of cubs. We're born with this thing. And that's part of what makes us moms. It's part of what makes us female nurturers. I don't get that. I don't get that. And
I
you know
don't get
what?
it.
Me saying that, I say that, and then of course all the backlash is going to be, well, that's why we should be defining sex by gender because some women don't have a mama bear. You know what? No, you take care of your own. At the end of the day, we are all
Exactly.
wired to care for our own, and so it is quite bizarre. We hope that this changes. We're not going to stay silent about it. I can tell you that much. I'll tell you what I see happening, what I think should happen in my personal capacity, my personal opinion, is that we've got to shift the conversation, not leave the women sports conversation, not leave it. We've got to, continue talking about it, but we do need to shift into more of a, let's talk about the fact that these girls are being sexually exploited. Like, let's have the conversation. Let's be bold enough to say it. This is the sexual exploitation of female girls. That's what this is.
Exactly.
So
Sure is.
just when I first, probably 2 years ago, I think I went to Denver, and I was at a conference that Riley was on a panel speaking, and Paula Gaines, there was some other, Paula Gaines, Paula, I'm so sorry, forgive me, Paula Scanlon and Riley Gaines. They know I love them. It's okay.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, it was the moment I think that it hit me. I think it hit every woman in that room, because what happened was there was a social psychologist, and they lean left. That's a fact, right? In fact, if they don't, they're threatened. Their licenses are on the line, right? And so she was moderating this panel, and her career was all about helping women identify predators long before they are in a situation they can't get out of. And so she had interviewed 2,000 women that had been abused in one way or another by a predator, and 700 predators. She was in their minds, okay? And so she starts going through this list of what a predator does and what the gender ideology movement does, and they are lockstep.
Right.
Lockstep. The victim is the problem, right? The perpetrator, he's the victim. Don't tell these secrets, right? What are the schools doing? The schools are trying to say, don't tell parents. We won't tell your parents. They want the kids to keep secrets from their parents. So it was just a defining moment where I thought, and Riley, that child is, tough as nails, big crocodile tears. And when I saw that sitting on the front row, I went back to my room, my hotel room. I cried for an hour, and I just said, I will die on this hill. I will not let these girls, because that was a swim team of 40 girls paraded in front of this man for his pleasure. That's what that was. And not one adult did a thing about it. And that I think is the story we have to start really telling. We also got to talk about the prisons. They are locking, men can say, hey, I'm a woman, a male prisoner.
Right.
And he can be locked in a cell with a female, a convicted sex offender in a cell. That's no longer a cell. You just locked her in a cage with a predator. I mean, that's what just happened, right? So we have to start getting serious, I think, about the stuff that people probably don't want to talk about. But if we don't, who's going to? I mean, we've got to protect girls. I think it's the only way to really, yeah. And I think we've got a little bit of cover. You know, we have an administration that seems to be sane on the issue, some degree of sanity, you know. So in my mind, run hard, run fast now, fight harder than ever before.
Exactly. And you brought up the prisons. I mean, they're moving people in and out. People, by people, I mean men who have been allowed to go in, and they're moving them out. And I mean, I don't know what the solution is for those individuals who have these issues where they think they're something that they're not.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they have mental illness. I'm not a doctor, but it appears that they have some sort of issue with reality. I will say that. That's just a general observation. I don't have to be a doctor to see that's the thing. And I don't like to label people either. So that's why I kind of stay away from those terms. But obviously it's a problem, and the safety that these women, and there's plenty of women, especially in the prison system now, that are coming out and they're talking about being abused. I mean, you have a situation, and I know this happens with guards, unfortunately, and that has been shown over the history of years to happen in prisons where guards do abuse the inmates. And you know, no abuse is okay, obviously, especially from a point of authority. But when you're directly placing, and people who are in prison have committed crimes. So if you have a male who wants to dress as a woman and then be placed with women, there are plenty of those instances where they are sexual predators. And it's the same as them going into the gym, right? We've had that happen here in Arizona, going into the gym, going into the school locker rooms, right? The boys who I guess have been molded to believe that they can get away with things like this because the door has been so wide open in this respect, and there's nothing preventing any of these predators, young or old, right, from thinking that this is an okay behavior because it's being allowed by so many organizations. NCAA is still doing it. They came off, supposedly they were going to come off of it, but they didn't really go all the way. And so they're not standing up for women. I mean, the sports world is flipped upside down. I just heard the other day, and I forget the state, but one of the gals, they were talking about a young girl. You know, you came up with Independent Women's with Riley. She was one of the loudest voices initially, and then Paula Scanlon and Coach Kim and some of the other ladies that we work with in Independent Women. But now you've got this whole nother generation, 3.5, 4 years later, coming out of high school and college sports, and they're the advocates now that I see that are speaking up. And I'm sure Independent Women will be reaching out to some of them, and they will probably end up, you know, speaking with the organization because they do have compelling stories about being stripped. Peyton McNabb, we know that, you know, the young girl they talk about all the time on the volleyball court who got the spike to the face. Lovely, lovely girl. She's so adorable. It's so nice. She's just so sweet, right? And
anything, yes.
She's altered, and she's going to college. She's making the best of it. What was done to her by not only that player, the player's parents who allowed that, who thought that was okay, the coach, the school, all of those involved to allow that to happen. She's going to college. She has accommodations, right? And she's going to make the best of it. And she's going to do amazing, obviously, because that's just the kind of person she is. But these girls should not ever have these hurdles put in front of them. Life is hard enough. School is hard enough. College is certainly challenging. So to intensify it by then saying, oh, hey, by the way, yeah, you've got to compete against the 6'1" guy in swimming, track, volleyball. All of the sports now is really getting to it's way out of proportion, and Independent Women's is there as a backstop to try to bring light. And so I want everybody to get on their websites. I always say on the show, you know, and I not on the show, but since I started this a few years ago, you know, the most important thing, the podcasters are aplenty. The news is constant. There is information highways everywhere. But if you don't look for yourself, if you don't get online, take the time to research the websites, go to the organizations, look through their pages, pay your $10 to be a part of a chapter in your area, whether it's here in Arizona, Nebraska. I mean, I think, Robert, I told him to bring up, oh, he's going to kill me. I told him to bring up number 5. So you know what? I want to do that. And then Robert, I want to go after we do number 5, I want to go into those photos. I've got a map of our chapters I want to bring up, but go ahead and bring me Pam Bondi. I want you to hear this.
These are boys in a girl's locker room. One is too many. It's ridiculous what she said, and doesn't just affect one young woman. It affects the entire team, the entire sport within that school. These young women are not being able to compete because of a boy. The boy in 2024 came in 43rd in his category in track and field. Yet, when he competed in the women's sport, he won. You know, Governor Mills shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have done this, should be supporting women in the state of Maine, and we're going to fight for them if they're not. Okay. These are boys in a girl's
So Pam Bondi, if you didn't know, is our new Attorney General of the state. Here in Arizona, we have Chris Mays. She is definitely a proponent of Governor Hobbs', agenda. And so we don't have a strong AG in our state that would naturally want to tackle these issues for women because they are women. Let's just keep saying that out loud because it needs to sink in that women are working against women actively, publicly, which is tragic, embarrassing, really. And so we have the state of Maine, that governor over there defying Trump right off the bat, right? It happened 2 months ago when she was at a dinner. She said, oh, we're gonna take this to court. He's like, bring it on. I mean, he's certainly not afraid of a court challenge. He's got 62 or maybe 75 lawsuits against him currently, injunctions happening. So the gals that are running states, the blue states, obviously, I mean, the fact that this is a national issue and we're still talking about, and you have the UK coming out this week and affirming that they're using female male terms and that's what they're going to do. And that's what our bill proposed here in Arizona that she just vetoed. And so you really want to get down to your legislators. You want to get into your gov.gov systems. I always say you can look your districts up online on your .gov websites for your county. So I say maricopacounty.gov, San Diego County.gov, whatever county you're in. You will see who you can contact. You can see what the bills are. And I highly recommend you find out because we're living in these cities and these towns, these counties and states. And if we don't get involved for our kids, now Christy's going to have her kids having a kid. She's gonna be grandma. So she's got a whole generation that she's fighting for. My boys are hopefully a few years away from that. And but this is why I got involved on so many levels in Arizona when I was raising them, as you were also for years. You don't always know what's happening in your region, certainly because you're going to PTO, you're going to sports events, you're hustling the kids around, you're doing birthday parties and, all of that. And so your capacity isn't always that you can do all the other stuff. Not everybody can do everything all the time. So now that we're in this space where our kids are grown, Christy's gotten a hold of these things, firm grasp. And I want to encourage everyone who hears this, iwnetwork.com, Independent Women's Voices and Independent Women's Forum. We want to check those out, of course, but we also want to look at our legislative bodies. We want to talk to the people making the laws in our states. They're all accessible, by the way. We're going to have some kind of officials sort of in our state on next. But then I also, let's see, Robert, can you bring me that graphics folder up? And then do we have that map of our chapters in the United States? It's number 1 of the second folder. He loves the way I give him all these labels. I don't know. Poor Robert.
Noelle, let me say too, before I forget, because I love that you always talk about being a mom of boys, and we don't talk about that enough. This is dangerous for boys too.
Yes.
This is dangerous because boys, if they are accused, not guilty, if they are accused of one thing by one female that walks into their bathroom, their life is over.
That's right. Yeah. And I was telling I've been telling my boys that for years. It's true. I tell my boys that for years, they're both very, very nice looking boys, I will
Yes,
say.
you have very good looking boys.
Yeah, my one's 6'5", he's model-esque. My other one's dark, tall, dark, and handsome. And I've been telling them since they were, in high school, talking to girls, listen, you can't be alone with girls in certain circumstances. I mean, obviously you're going to be alone, but you really do have to be mindful of what you're doing these days, because there are so many issues surrounding women and young girls that you have to be the responsible party in that room. And you do need to look out for the girls, and they run with a lot of different girls. My younger has a girlfriend for a couple of years he's been serious with. My older one has had girlfriends, but now he has a big group of friends. They go out all the time. They do these big concerts. And I always tell him, you need to look out for the girls, because not only, we're not going to go into this, but not only are these issues in men in the bathrooms in places if they walk in, but also we have trafficking. We do talk about that here on American Perspective in Arizona and all the states. And you can't let your girlfriends walk in. You really, I always tell them, wait for them by the bathroom. Don't just walk in and then leave them. You wait for them and you make sure that they're safe. And we want women to be safe, right, all the time. So Robert, do we have that map that we can throw up? If not, no big deal. There we go. So here's all our chapters. Sorry, it's blurry, but we have, I don't even know how updated this is. It may not be as updated as we have chapters, but it gives you an idea. There are chapters across the nation, east to west and everywhere in between. And you can get online and you can get a hold of Christy. If you're here in Arizona, she's opened a chapter with Sammy Keddington in Chandler. She's opened another chapter with our friend Bella Denise Viner, who is doing a multicultural chapter she's in North Phoenix, but she's Phoenix proper all over, and she's Dominican, right? So she's reaching out to all our Hispanic friends who want to be a part of this. But you can get a hold of Christy. I have her Instagram and X and Facebook on the lower screen and in the descriptions at Patriot_Mom007 on Facebook, Instagram, Truth, all of them, YouTube, Rumble. The descriptions are very, very robust, have all the information that you can find, and you can get on there. You can write in, you can DM Christy. If you want to open something in Arizona, feel free to DM her, DM me. I'll put you in touch with her directly. Or if you're in another state, get on our iwnetwork.com. How do they do that? If they're in another state and they're not here, what is the process actually? I should know this. So educate me, please. What is the process to start a chapter?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Reach out to me, go to iwnetwork.com. There's a spot where it'll say, do I want to start a chapter? Send it to me. And then I'll get that request and I'll contact you and say, hey, we'll have a virtual coffee just like this and hang out and talk so I can get to know you. And then we'll go from there. So,
and Robert, do you have a couple of those photos too? Hold on, I'm gonna have him bring up those, just roll through those. I just want you to see, I pulled a couple of photos from what we do. I just want people to see kind of, our organization. We have a couple, the one, number two, let's see, do we have those coming up? We had an event, it was a book signing. I'm sorry,
you're talking about Carrie Sheffield.
Yeah, we did Carrie Sheffield last year. We had a book signing. She came, she did a reading, she did questions, Q&A. She was actually just here this week with Stephen Ward at a symposium, a forum at ASU on the economy. But some of our activities include, do we have those coming up? Yeah, no. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we're not going to see those. Can you bring any of those up? 4 or 5, any of them? Okay. Perfect. So this was an event. Christy and I attended Goldwater Institute. Look, there's our Senator Ted Cruz. Remember that?
Yeah, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, so we get to do fun things too. And but we do a lot of women empowered things. I mean, the groups that we have are amazing, and it's a good networking opportunity, not just for fellowship, friendship, but also for business. A lot of women can meet others in the area, and you can, expand whatever circle you are working on or in. And it's just a really good way to connect, honestly. And so I encourage you. And then can we bring 7? Is there a possible way we can bring 7 up real quick? I want to touch on this before we lose our hour of time. And this was from last year. If we can bring up 7. Sorry, Robert. I'm going to owe him. I don't know. If I lived in town with him, I'd owe him a cappuccino or something. No, I'm sorry, number 7 in the graphics folder with the Freedom Academy banner in the just the photos, the stills that I have you right behind the Ted, not quite two behind the Ted Cruz in that graphics folder. Yeah, and if you can't, I wonder if I can do it. Anyway, Freedom Academy, I did want to touch on it because as important as Independent Women's Network is, and I wanted to dedicate most of the hour to that, which we have. Please check out iwnetwork.com. Check out Christy too. Check out the descriptions on YouTube, Rumble, and all of that is there. But Freedom Academy Charter School is in North Phoenix. Oh, good. He's going to bring up the website, even better. And so there we are. And so we have a K through 8. Christy is our president of the board. I sit on the board as of a year and a half ago. Just became the secretary, and that was our 2.5-hour meeting last night. Great things happening for our school. So let's tell them a little bit about our school, because we are reinvigorating it in general, and we want to share what we're doing. If you're looking for a school for K through 8 in North Phoenix, it's the 40th Bell area. For those of you guys in Arizona, you know where that is, right in the middle of town, off the 101 and 51, super central, in a great location across the street from a beautiful park. So let's talk about Freedom and how they can get involved and enrolled if they want for August this coming year.
Freedom Academy is an incredible school, and I can say that with confidence. My daughters graduated from Freedom Academy. It's a K through 8 charter school, and they've been out for 9 years. I know that because as soon as they graduated, the founder of the school, of the charter, asked me to serve on the board, and it's been 9 years. It's crazy that it's been that long, but I said yes, because I said this is something that I want to protect. This was a school where the founder knew every child by name, knew their brothers, knew their sisters, knew the families. It's a family school. That's just in our DNA, and it's who we are. And so it is just incredible. And so now we're kind of looking at kind of updating a lot of things, updating the logo, updating, kind of rebranding, but we still have who we are. Our tagline is integrity, honor, leadership. Integrity,
right.
Honor, leadership. And I love every one of those words. They're so rich with meaning. We have to teach our children to honor each other and honor
right.
their parents, and show honor, right? Show respect.
Right.
And teach every child that they're a leader. You are a leader. You influence the people around you, whether you realize it or not, right? So every child has a leadership capability in them, and we want to fan that flame. And integrity. I mean, we have to live by integrity, and so we try to do that as a board. We do that as a staff, and that goes all the way down to our families. So
yeah, and we have conservative values, those of us who sit on the board. I mean, we're trying to impart that into what we're bringing to the school in general, because we do think it's important. Family values, the morals that we believe, a lot of people believe, a lot of our parents believe, that are as important to impart on our kids, because there are so many wayward kids these days, and so many ways they can go wayward, right? Every single thing they click on takes them down this weird path often. And it's important that our schools, as we know these days in education, have plummeted in so many ways, test scores, just socially, the interactions, the fights in school. There's so many issues, the drugs in school that are peddled on school grounds, the shootings that just happened on FSU yesterday at Tallahassee. I mean, those are still happening. And, we are looking at Freedom as a place where the kids have a safe space and their families have a safe space, so that they know when they send their kids to school there that they're comfortable, they're happy. We want to, we're looking at some good security measures we've been talking about. We want to roll out for the next year. But charter schools, people think that maybe they're small and they don't offer this or that. You know what? We've got sports teams. We have a really cute campus. It's a smaller school for sure. It's on a huge campus, but it's certainly wonderful for the kids. And even at the end of the year, we were talking last night with our principal, Julie Downing, who's an excellent principal. And she was mentioning all the end of year activities. They've got 8th graders going to Disneyland. They've got the science fair coming up, which I went to last year. I'll probably go this year. It's so adorable. I did, of course, when my kids were there, we all went to the science fair. And then they have with that a silent auction and a talent show. They do a Dave and Buster's night. Of course, we have our big graduation coming up. And so I hope that people look at these alternatives, and I hope they consider Freedom Academy. It's on Paradise Lane, just so you know, if you do look it up in Arizona, because there are a few, I think, other Freedom Academies in the state that I've seen. So it's on Paradise Lane in Phoenix. I think it's 85032, right there on 40th and Bell. So, and also reach out, DM me, DM Christy. You guys need information on it. You want to pack it. You want to get in touch with the school. Feel free to contact us, because that's what we're here for. And we want to make our community a really fantastic community going into the next school year. And our kids that come out are amazing. Her daughters are a testament to that, of what that a charter can produce, right? And the alternatives to these public nightmare schools that allow everything and anything. And maybe it's just they can't get a handle on it because they've got 1,200 kids. I don't know the reason. Some of it's poor management. Some of it's the woke issues, obviously, they allow to be in. We are dedicating our school to the opposite of that. So check them out, Freedom Academy. az.org. It's on the bottom of the screen too, right?
Yep.
So we're at the hour exactly, Christy. It goes by so darn fast. I've got to do a quick wrap, and then I've got really amazing guests coming on. Second show today, special edition, Mark Lamb and Art Del Cueto right behind you, joining me for round 2 of American Perspective today. So I want to keep on task, because those guys got some new jobs, and they are busy, and they are doing me a favor by joining me together today. So
you said Sheriff Lamb?
Sheriff Lamb and Art Del Cueto, yeah.
Tell him he owes me a phone call, and you tell him Independent Women's Forum, and he knows, Independent Women's Network, he knows he owes us.
What do you need? What do you need him to do? Do you want to get him for a speaking engagement, or what's the get?
Looking to maybe just do a pre-record like this, and just really talk to him. Really want to highlight Arizonans that are impacted negatively by illegal immigration, and we know there's stories out there.
Yeah, he's got a lot to say on that. Yeah, he's an expert on that, of course, being our former sheriff of Pinal County. So if you want to hang out, I always let the guests know, if you want to hang out in the back, I do a little close with a MAGA minute. Or if you need to go, perfectly fine. You can always catch me on Facebook Live right now. We are on Facebook Live. It's working today. Thank you, Facebook, for allowing that to happen. It never doesn't always work. YouTube and Rumble also live right now. Twitch, Odyssey, Kick, and D Live also live at Patriot_Mom007 and Arizona Live Data on that channel as well. So either way, I thank you so much if you hang out or not in the back. And you and I are going to talk soon. We've got a lot to get done for the school and other things. So let's connect either this weekend for a quick phone call, or maybe next week for sure, and really dive in on what's going on.
And probably 50 text messages in between.
Probably. And have an awesome Easter. Have a great Easter.
You too. That's right. Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday. That's right. So, all right. Thank you so much for being here today. So, Robert, with that, we're going to run right into MAGA Minute, because I've got the second show coming on. So let's bring up Carolyn Levitt, my favorite new friend in the administration. She helps me every week put this together so nicely and beautifully and succinctly. And Trump is up to too many things for me to go through them with you, so she does it for us. So let's hear from Carolyn now. How are we doing on that one? And
hey guys, safe to say it was another very busy week here at the White House. Let's roll through it for this week's MAGA Minute. This week, the president took strong action to put U.S. trade interests first by raising tariffs on China to 145% and dropping tariffs to 10% for most countries after bringing more than 75 nations to the negotiating table. The president hosted the LA Dodgers and racing champions here at the White House, and he hosted a successful bilateral meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We also had incredible economic news. Inflation declined massively in March, consumer prices dropped for the first time in 3 years, energy prices have decreased 2.4%, gas prices decreased 6.3%, and real average hourly earnings are growing by 1.4%. AMG Minerals, Novinix, Novartis Pharmaceuticals, Guardian Bikes, and many other companies announced billions of dollars in investments in the United States as a result of the president's economic and America First trade policies. The White House Council of Economic Advisors released a study showing President Trump's actions will save nearly $11,000 per family of 4 over the coming years. And the president signed an executive order bolstering U.S. coal production following decades of industry decline. The administration also won 4 major Supreme Court cases, repealing rulings from activist federal judges. And the Department of Homeland Security relaunched the Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement Office to assist Americans who have been harmed by illegal immigrant crime. That's just a very small glimpse into all of the incredible work our administration is doing to make America great again. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
And thank you, Carolyn Levitt, for getting that put together for us, because that last 7 days of the previous week have been so busy. That is from the 12th. So that's last Friday. So I always roll the week before. And like I said, so much happening in America in a good, positive way. For those who say things are going downhill, I do not understand what you're talking about. I wish somebody would explain it to me. I do dialogue with people online. Thank you guys for the comments, but I still have yet to have anybody tell me where the negativity comes from. I mean, inflation's going down. Eggs are available and they've plummeted in price. I never saw a huge spike here in Arizona, but I heard it happened other places. Of course, the billions coming into our country, you can't beat that. And I mean, everything else he's doing. The tariffs are one thing. I understand people are a little upset, but let's look at the long game. It's not about today. It's about the future for us, your family, the country. So you need to get through the challenges to get to the other side of the rainbow. So I hope everybody gives him a little bit more grace. It's not even been 100 days yet, I don't think. I think we're at January, February, March, 90 something days. We're not quite there yet. So, give the guy 6 months. I think we're going to see a really positive trajectory over all of America going forward, and we'll all be better for it. Even the people who don't think we will be, you're going to be better for it too in the end. But with that, you guys gotta get going. We've got other guests coming on at 1:30 today. I hope you guys will tune back in, but I do want to thank you right now for watching this first hour of American Perspective with Patriot Mom007, our guest, Christy Narsi. To learn more about Christy Narsi, Independent Women's Network, you can find all the information and resources for yourself and your family, actually, because that's really who it benefits, on the descriptions at Patriot_Mom007 on all the regular channels. And then, as always, I will thank, I've already done it twice, but I'm going to thank him again, Robert, Chula Vista Live Data at JData17 on X and Facebook. Please check out his channels, Arizona Live Data, Chula Vista Live Data, and San Diego Live Data. He brings you information from all over the nation, and he covers other events, especially in California, things, the water board, the school boards, things that are happening there on a regular basis with their organizations and agencies, and brings them to you live. And Audra Morgan, who I had on, excuse me, a recent guest with Eye of the Storm, she works with Robert out there in California. She also brings a lot of live information to you. So I highly recommend you check out Audra Morgan at Eye of the Storm as well. And you can follow, like, and hopefully share my information at Patriot_Mom007 on Facebook, Instagram, Truth, YouTube, Rumble, and on X. It is PMom007. As always, please remember to get educated, get involved. If you don't know the challenges within your community, you really can't help correct them to improve the future for yourself, your friends, community, city, county, and state, and nation, and most importantly, your family. So don't go too far. Grab a quick break, go get a snack, come back at 1:30 because of the next hour on American Perspective. We have an amazing second show today. It's a special edition. We're going to be joined by former Sheriff of Pinal County, Mark Lamb, and also in the same hour, Art Del Cueto. You might know him, Border Patrol officer the last several years, and he was with the National Border Patrol Council as president and vice president. They're both working now with an organization called FAIR, which is the Federation for American Immigration Reform. They're coming up at 1:30. So you guys, it's Easter, it's Good Friday. Have an amazing weekend with your family and have a just great weekend overall. Look forward to seeing you guys here in an hour or next Friday on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007. And Robert.